Now before we get started, I want all the Titan 1 purists to stop sharpening their pitchforks. I want to talk about its sequel because it's the game that introduced me to the series, and it interested me because it had a single player component to it. Right off the bat, I will tell you that Titanfall 2 has my favourite campaign in the FPS genre to date, and if you've not played it yet, here's why I think that you should. In Titanfall's future, the human race finds itself wound up in a galactic civil war being fought on two sides. The IMC, the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, and the Frontier Militia, which the player character Jack Cooper fights for. The war between these two factions has wiped out multiple civilizations and caused mass death and destruction across the galaxy. It was during these wars that the Titans were created. These absolute powerhouses had the extra firepower and brute strength to turn the tide of entire battles to whomever had the best Titan. Paired with the new weapon was an elite soldier who could work with and control the Titan. These soldiers were known as pilots. Through their tech, speed, agility, and strategic minds, these pilots were deadly on their own, but when a pilot got into their Titan, that's when the real party starts. When you give someone a generic first-person shooter game, the chances are, if they're familiar with video games at all, they'll be able to pick it up pretty quickly. We've had so many franchises all following the same rule set, and it's kind of conditioned us to expect a certain formula. So, what's the first thing Titanfall gives us to break these expectations? To give us the, "do you think that's air you're breathing in?" speech. Now, Titanfall's gameplay is split into two sections. One with you operating the Titan BT, which we won't get into right now, sorry BT, and the other is boots on the ground as the pilot. We are thrown into a VR training program that gives us the basics on how to traverse the levels. Pilot gameplay just feels like another kind of FPS when you boot it up for the first time. You got your primary and secondary guns with grenades. Okay, cool. That's the cookie cutter formula at this point. Oh, we can slide, nice. Oh, we can double jump like Crash Bandicoot. Oh, we can wall run? Oh yeah, it's all come together. After all of this is given to us, we are given a simple task, to get from the start to the end of the gauntlet, and take out holographic enemies along the way. Should be fine, right? Surely I won't look like a toddler after seeing the online leaderboards. Oh, come on! It's really at this point where you first realize what power this game gives you when it comes to movement. Most games prefer to put a limit on your movement to really ground you as just another soldier on the battlefield. But this game hands those rules to BT to fucking yeet them out of here. After you've given up trying to crawl up the leaderboard, you're jolted out of the VR simulation and it's now time to put everything that you've learned to good use and start your journey to become a real pilot. After a battle with the IMC has taken place, you're now the sole survivor after your mentor is fatally injured while saving your life, and gives you authorization codes to BT and the mantle of pilot. Now that you're responsible for BT, you need to find several batteries strewn around the level to power up the Titan before the IMC come back. This is a great way of introducing you to the world, as the main focus of this level is not really combat, but instead platforming. Right away, it forces you to rely on wall running to get past certain jumps and introduces you to the sense of verticality all of Titanfall's levels have. After you start to get used to wall running, it starts to ask you to string together a wall run and a double jump, and then a string of wall runs to get to the next platform. Getting used to these prepares you for the later levels of Titanfall, where you don't have the luxury of stationary stone walls, and have to instead jump from one moving, flipping platform to another. Titanfall 2's campaign is able to blend a sense of puzzle solving and action, whereby in the later levels, you really have to work with the environment to be one step ahead of the enemy, so they don't outflank and cut you down. You start to bond with the environment and use it to your advantage as though it's part of your arsenal, because in Titanfall, it is. Once you've powered up your Titan, you're introduced to the other side of Titanfall's gameplay. BT picks you up and pops you inside the cockpit, and immediately you feel the difference in gameplay. You're much slower but can take way more damage. You don't have grenades anymore, but you can literally stop bullets and rockets mid-air District 9 style and return them to the sender with love. You unlock different loadouts as you progress through the campaign to personalise what playstyle you want BT to have. Having the option of switching between a sniper or a cannon-wielding Titan really adds to the fact that BT is your Titan, while also being a good way of experimenting between the playstyles and honing in on which one feels most suitable to you as a player. The ironic thing for a game called Titanfall though, is that for me, I always enjoyed the pilot gameplay way more due to the fluidity of movement that it grants you. But it's a nice change of pace to jump in to just have that massive power fantasy moment. Okay, so this is probably the reason I made this video. I fucking love this level, and it defined the campaign of the game for me. You and BT start off rendezvousing with Lieutenant Anderson, who you find at a science facility. The only problem is that he's halfway there, and oh, chicken on a chip! Through this mission you start to explore the strange facility's ruins when suddenly Now at this point in my first playthrough, I thought this was a flashback, as I'd been trained through various other video games to think. You explore a little more of the facility, finding out that these guys were creating something to mess with space and time before you get noticed, and shot at by guards, swiftly telling you you're caught in 2 time frames. You then find a device on the other half of Anderson which allows you to hop between the 2 time frames. At this point, the game shows you what a video game would look like fighting on 2 fronts. The organised militia in the facility's heyday, and the present day where nature has taken over along with the wild creatures and abandoned security robots. And as God Howard once elegantly said,
it just works.
I mean, goddamn, this is the kind of FPS I want to be playing. One with the balls to throw in a mechanic that in any other game would build its entire campaign around. But in Titanfall 2, Respawn put this in for one level, halfway through the story, that springs you into a puzzle action extravaganza that would make Doc Brown blush. Fighting and platforming through it all, often using the time frame switching as your only way to survive the different obstacles thrown at you, it takes everything you've learned so far and cranks it up to 11. Titanfall at its core is a story about the relationship between BT and Jack Cooper.
I think somebody's in love.
And is the heart of the game. It lives or dies on whether you buy this relationship between man and machine. Luckily, the game delivers on that front. Right away when you start looking for batteries to charge BT, he starts to show you his personality.
Sorry. You guys must have been close.
He was an excellent pilot. And a good friend. I advise against turning yourself over to the IMC. Voice pattern analysis indicates they are lying.
Well, don't worry, BT. I'm not going anywhere.
Understood, but I do recommend you move. IMC salvage teams are not far away.
From the dry humor BT brings to the conversations, to calling Lastimosa BT's original pilot a friend, it shows you that BT is his own entity. It feels things independently, and is just as much of a character in this world as Cooper. Through this story, the odd couple have to gain each other's trust in order to survive, and the relationship grows from rifleman and Titan making do in order to get out of a sticky situation into a formidable team. Right, okay, so this next section is spoiler heavy, so if you haven't yet played Titanfall, and I've been able to convince you to play it, please skip to this timestamp. The banter between both BT and Cooper is a welcome part of the story, and is also clever in giving players dialogue options. This is your choice about what to say to BT, and thus furthers not just Cooper's, but your own connection to BT as well.
Great. Just gotta kill a few bad guys.
A positive attitude can only improve our situation.
So when the time comes, and when Cooper reassures BT,
Don't worry, BT. I'm not going anywhere.
Copy that, pilot.
when you're both about to sacrifice yourselves to destroy the Ark, BT hits back with his Protocol 3.
Protect the pilot.
BT, what are you doing?
Trust me.
BT!
you feel that. Titanfall may not have the longest campaign or the most complex story, but Respawn crams so much quality into those 5 or 6 hours that the duller moments would be standouts in a different FPS. More recently, Respawn has made a name for itself in the gaming landscape, developing bigger hits such as Jedi Fallen Order and Apex Legends. But this is still my favourite game they've come out with. Maybe I'm just a sucker for a boy and his robot stories, but in my eyes, Titanfall 2's campaign is a masterpiece. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video. Be sure to like and subscribe. We've just passed 3,000 subscribers, so just from everybody at SideQuest, thank you. And there's more content coming, so be sure to see you then. Thanks again. Have a good one.